So welcome to St. Philip's. I'd like to have Steve Anderson come forward and give a brief stewardship talk.
Good morning. My name is Steve Anderson, and I've been attending St. Philip's for about a couple of years and have been a member for a little bit over 1 year. And I'm pleased to be able to speak to you briefly about the Every Member Counts campaign on this in-gathering Sunday. An article in this week's epistle explains why it is very important from a pragmatic standpoint to return our financial commitment cards as soon as possible. The Finance Committee will soon present the 2020 budget to the vestry for review and approval, and though it preliminarily represents a 14% increase over last year, it will ultimately be based on the actual commitments you and I make now, not upon what anyone hopes those commitments will be. Now, as a retired CPA, I deeply understand the need for budgets, and I'm here to tell you that they are not as exciting as they sound. And Mary Blair thanked me for saying that in the 7:45 service this morning. The daily workings of this church are at their core financial in nature, as crass as that may sometimes seem. But as I sat in Friday evening's gorgeous evensong service, mindful of the comments that I would be making this morning, I thought about all the resources, contemporary and ancient, that fed that service, and how, in a very small way, each of our own financial commitments to St. Philip's made that service the blessing that it truly was. Every member counts. We hear a lot of talk during drives like this about the concept of stewardship. And for me, stewardship is a two-way street. It applies to my church, and it applies to me. We should each prayerfully decide for ourselves whether the resources of St. Philip's are being deployed wisely in furtherance of the gospel, in furtherance of the two commands in Matthew chapter 22, to love our God with all of our hearts and souls and minds, to love our neighbors as ourselves, and in keeping with the admonition of St. Paul in Ephesians chapter 4, when he says that we are to equip the saints for the work of the ministry to build up the body of Christ. My own testimony to you this morning is that our church is not perfect. For to adopt a phrase from Groucho Marx, I would not want to belong to a church that would have me as a member. But in my own travels during my career of some 30 years around the country, I have never seen a church more dedicated to its mission than the beautiful people of St. Philip's in Brevard. Now, there are very few people, even at St. Philip's, who will know your personal giving commitment or the financial sacrifice it represents to you personally. Essentially, our decision to give or not to give, or how much to give, is between us, our families, and our God. But my testimony to you this morning is that when you give of your time and your talents, and in the context of this Sunday, your treasure, your gifts, perhaps especially the ones in which only you and your God are aware, will bless you mightily. So please consider giving to the church and turning in a commitment card today, or if not today, then as soon as possible. There will be extra cards on the table over at Miller Hall. Then trust God to bless you and this wonderful church for your personal sacrifice, because every member counts. Thank you and good morning.